All right, we're back with another episode of Nizewhat. I am Doral the Galaxy, and we are here today with Camille Clarke. Should I say the government name?
That's the government name that I operate under as a licensed agent, Camille Clarke. So there's no point in trying to say it.
Okay. All right. I was being too government name, but it's fine, right? Okay, great. Well, I'm so glad to have you here at Studio 1332, located in Scarborough, Ontario. If anyone's ever interested, booking their sessions at Studio 1332, whether it's for podcasts, music, you name it, check them out and follow them on Instagram. And I'll leave the handle below. We're here with Camille Clarke, and I want to say I've known Camille for years. We just reunited, I guess you would say, through faith in the universe. And one thing I'll say about Camille, you are one, super intelligent. One of the first people I've ever met, growing up, just in middle school, just very informative. Mind, IQ on point, okay? IQ on level 200. And
I try, girl. Yo, some people out there might not think that, there's people out there that think, yo, that girl right there.
Who cares? Honestly, because your charisma.
So I'll take the compliment.
Yes, of course, because your charisma is amazing.
You would know.
You're talented. You're multifaceted. You know what I mean? So what made you even get into real estate? What was the first inclining, or what was your inspo to get into it?
So I actually love that story because I think it's interesting and I think it's telling. It's actually educational. So when I got into real estate, I was just in real estate as a law clerk. So I went to Humber and did the law clerk program. I could go more into detail about that, but I did the law clerk program, finished, and then in the law clerk program, you get to basically try every type of law. They teach you everything, estates, corporate, whatever. I liked real estate, so I chose my first job as a real estate law firm, and it took me from my placement, and I basically just closed residential, just everyday sales, your mom's house, just a regular house, those type of sales, condo sales, resale, so buyer to buyer. And the mortgage side I handled. But doing that, you also cut the realtor checks as part of your process when the house sells. At the end of it, the brokerage on the realtor side, usually if we're holding any funds for them, we have to cut it out to the brokerage. So I was seeing a lot of commission statements, and I was like, you know what? I'm already in real estate. I'm just going to do real estate on the sales side. And also, where I worked, that first job was at Avenue and Eglinton Road. Mm-hmm. And you know me from Brampton, from middle school, grade 7 and 8. I was 12, 13?
Yeah.
But before that, I went to school in Toronto. So the neighborhood where I went to school, that Vaughan and Oakwood neighborhood, was, to me, growing up, a predominantly Black neighborhood. I had max 3 different ethnicity friends in my class any given year. So I just knew it to be we were all Caribbean people. Where my job was, Eglinton and Avenue Road, I knew there was another side to Eglinton, but I never really ventured past Eglinton West Station. So when I got that job and I realized I was in an affluent, I won't go deeper, affluent neighborhood. I was like, this is so interesting. And I'm seeing real estate from a side that most people, not even the realtors, really understand. We're seeing issues with the realtors from our perspective. We're seeing mistakes from our perspective. So when I realized, I kind of knew it to a point where, if I don't go into it on the sales side, I'd kind of be missing out. And realizing that, there's just a knowledge disparity. If I go into real estate, I could kind of bridge that gap. Now I'm on this other side of the tracks, technically. I never crossed Eglinton Avenue Station. My side is Little Jamaica. The side I grew up is Little Jamaica. We're seeing the Rastamen up and down Oakwood. So when I seen it, I was like, oh, we're right across the tracks.
Interesting.
I'm going to get my real estate license and,
do something.
And be able to even go back to that neighborhood and, work in the real estate there.
Yeah, because I don't see that there being a problem with it. Maybe the demographic is just, there's not enough of use out there.
Are people willing to kind of bring the wealth back? Because the thing about Toronto, everyone knows there's certain neighborhoods that you come from, the Rex Deals and the Jane and Finch and the and the Vaughan in Oakland and the Scarborough, but most people move out. Most people move to the suburbs, like me, like my parents, like so many other people that are in Brampton right now, and so we don't even think about kind of like where we really come from and trying to put any kind of investment back into that neighborhood. So I don't know how that would go in that neighborhood per se, but you know, it's just about bringing the culture back, because that neighborhood is as we know is still trying to be maintained as Little Jamaica, but the majority of the people in that area now, I would not say are really Jamaican.
Interesting.
Yeah, or any kind of Caribbean. There's a lot of different races there now. People who can afford to live there.
Very interesting. So, very, very interesting. So, related to that, then, where, even within that neighborhood, within those spaces, in the GTA, anywhere, I guess, in Canada, what would you say, how important is real estate going to be within, let's say, the next 5 to 10 years? Like, what would be your target or focus, even for yourself, or how would you see it? How would you also like to see it?
So how important is it? I think that if you're not really looking to own within the next 10 years, you, like, as you've probably heard before, it's just going to get harder. So in the next 10 years, my thing is to kind of basically just acquire as much as I can within the next 10 years. Like the first, second, third, I've owned. Right now it's really expensive to hold on to properties, certain properties. I know a lot of people that are offloading properties, so I'm in like a transitional phase where I'm gonna go into it from a different point of view rather than.
So I'm a preschooler in this. Offloading, what does that mean?
So like, you could be someone with 3 or 4 properties right now, and they were all investment properties with renters, whatever the case is. But if you're seeing like a significant increase in the expense on owning that property and it doesn't make sense, and in some cases you're owning property that's not necessarily depreciating, but because of the interest rates changing, it's gone down a bit. If you're in any kind of money issues with your current portfolio, you're probably going to want to sell and kind of re-strategize into what you invest in next. So you'll see a lot of people who are long-time investors right now, but they're selling their property and they're going to have to, you know, either put it all into one new property that they go into next. Yeah, just that's the kind of time that we're in right now. A lot of people that I'm seeing that were owners and are going into renting for a bit because they realize that there are sometimes a lot of big changes that are hard to maintain as homeowners. Yeah.
Do you personally have any goals being a realtor outside of Canada? Or like, how does it work? I don't even know if I'm asking the right question.
Yeah,
but
no, it's possible. Yeah, you could be in Canada and get your license, or I believe practice or ability to practice in Florida. There is a test that you basically have to do to be able to practice over there. I'm not sure if you have to be a citizen. To be honest, I might not be the right person to ask that question because I haven't done it yet, but I've seen it. I was more seeing,
like, even for you personally, like, would you see yourself
practicing out there?
Yeah, like in the, let's say the Caribbean,
you know, if I get a husband out there, you know what I'm saying?
She just said she's single.
No, in general, no.
Who's buying her a home?
I'm kidding. In general, yes, I would honestly promote people to buy out there and work with other realtors out there, if not get fully licensed in the States, in Florida, in Texas, any of those states, 100%. If I could either practice out there and or work with a realtor out there, I would promote people to move to the States. It's not a bad idea if you're ready for the politics, if you're ready for the...
for that type of raw energy, eh? So, another one. What are the best cities you would say, like, for future home buyers? Like, where is developing right now where it's, like, in the city where, or the GTA, like, where it would be, like, ideal for new families or, you know, new single people or out of college and stuff like that?
Okay, so you want to break it down into categories?
Let's do it, because, hey, man, we all need some knowledge, and she got the knowledge, so.
Okay, I mean, singles are always going to want to be in Toronto. Like, I find that is not ever going to change. I mean, outside of Toronto, you might want to go to, like, Pickering. Like, you might want to be close enough to Toronto that you're not... But honestly, the prices in terms of, like, if you're starting off in a condo as a single person or even like a smaller end townhouse, they're not much different than what you'll find in Toronto, depending on neighborhood right now. So, as a young single person, if you want to do Toronto condos, they're fairly much in the same range as these outskirt cities right now. If you look in the right area, and I would say being in Toronto in general should be your goal because anywhere along the transit line, you're downtown, you're at the parties, you're. Ooh, that's probably my phone going off. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. We're gonna be back after these messages. If you're a creator looking to book studio time, look no further. Check out Studio 1332, located in Scarborough, Ontario. Click the link in their bio to check out their prices and book your time now. And we're back. So, yes, development. So, okay, what about like new families? You would say like what cities or suburban towns and things like that do you recommend?
I'm in Niagara lately, and I'm really liking Niagara. I did a cabin out there in early September, late August actually, and it was beautiful. Like that was Niagara on the Lake, but any of those little Niagara cities have suburbs that don't exactly remind me of Brampton, but they remind me of like just like a really you feel close to the wineries, like you feel it, and it's nice little towns. You're close to Niagara Falls, so no matter what, you do have entertainment. You know, you can get a good little strip club over there. You know, you can get a good little vibe.
Don't stop, pop that.
You know, us young people in our community, we just need to know if there's a little vibe. You know, a little Caribbean food, a little something nearby. We're
little
good.
Spice here and
little
there.
Spice,
No?
a little mix of people, and yeah, I'm seeing a mix of people out there. The houses and the type of real estate that you're seeing there, it's very geared towards young families. So, and the prices. Like you can get a townhouse out there right now for like $550, $600. So that's where you're at in condos in Toronto right now. So it's a big.
So it's good. So it all depends on even if people are willing to give another city a chance. Like even if it's developing and just.
Yeah, girl. You know when we moved to Brampton.
We can adapt anywhere we go. So
Brampton didn't have Brampton was Cowtown. I know a lot of people from Toronto who, when I moved to Brampton, they were like, "Oh, you live in Cowtown?" Yeah. Yeah.
Even when I went to high school at Mayfield, it's borderline
cows,
Caledon. Now they're like developed. This has a Walmart, a Tim. I'm like, yo, the students there are lucky.
Yeah, true.
Back in our day, okay.
Cows.
They're cows. So, what are the most important things to keep in mind when buying a home or land or property?
Future value. Like you always want to think about, okay, I'm buying this house now and it looks like a good deal now, but in this city where I'm at, what's the odds of the future value really climbing here? So like we had Toronto, then we saw prices kind of shoot up there, and prices shot up in Mississauga, and prices shot up in Brampton. Now we're seeing East End really shooting up. East End took a while to shoot up, and now we're getting into like the Niagara, the Hamiltons. Hamilton has its own little unique issues.
Yeah.
But all the way up there, you see that slow decline in the prices. We're seeing changes coming to GO transit lines. So you're seeing new stations out in Niagara, which will just make your transit, if you're trying to, let's say, come up with a scenario. I went to Party Next Door's concert, and if I lived in Niagara and I wanted to go to Party Next Door's concert, when that transit light's done, it might take me about an hour and a half on the one GO train.
One of my questions was in regards to the Caribbean diaspora, African diaspora, and just ways of accessing more information, or again, informative people like you that can even share more content online. Like I know she's doing her thing regardless, so this is why it's important to have episode like this, because I learned a lot during this, and although it's not super lengthy, it's important to like even revise what Camille's talking about, so everybody in the city can have some piece of knowledge, and we put it together to, let's say, actually one of my questions was, do you think that we would ever be able to come together and buy acres and acres of land, whether it's here or is that something that is possible depending on how the strategy is laid out, or the logistics of it? Like, what would your vision be?
Oh, girl, that's such a loaded question. My mind went in 10 different places. Just because there's so many parts to that, and I feel like that's something that we continuously kind of hit a wall with. There's so many different parts to that. Absolutely, we could, and I know that there are groups out there that have started. Actually, I can shout out my old broker that has started a group that was all about that.
How do you feel about Shelburne? Because I hear a lot of
So
people
Shelburne, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily been the plan for Shelburne, but I feel like somehow Shelburne ended up that way. There are a lot of interracial and Black communities that are not families that are moving out there. Yeah. So the only thing I would say about Shelburne, because the last time I did a deal out there, from what I understood, was the lenders thought of it as rural. Just the zoning of that whole city, from what I understand, is a rural city, so the lending is a little bit difficult. And but value wise, it's been rocky, but it's just like any other city. The issue with Shelburne really is just the infrastructure. It's really a young city, and they just don't have the entertainment and the things like that necessarily. Almost like Alliston, not too far from that whole little corridor there.
Yeah.
On Highway 9 is it's quiet.
And that could be good, because you know, if the more ideas, even business ideas people have, or they need land to open businesses, things like that, you know, that can generate income. Like you say, a lot of these people in certain cities, they do come together to make conglomerates with their property. You know? Honestly,
it starts in the business professional associations. And that's something that I've learned in the past 2 years. Like, people walk around thinking like nothing, you know, like me and you, when we were in high school, we weren't thinking that all these things were happening behind the scenes, but there is definitely, like, every city has a chamber of commerce. Every city is very quietly run by, you know, a certain majority of people.
You know, it's just a matter of, again, having more of these conversations. I would love to do even another episode with you where we talk more about land in general, and understanding truly who are the best people to talk to. And one of them is sitting on this couch right here.
I would love to get a couple others that would be able to really expand on that and that are on the ground developing right now. I know who's out there that's heavy in the Niagara scene. And if you see this, you know who you are. And I would love to connect with anyone who's dominating that Shelburne area in terms of development. Like, I will definitely reach out to some of the developers out there, because every city has its major developer. So we'll be able to talk about that.
That's great. I'm excited. This is great. I feel like I've learned so much. Again, I love learning. I'm sure a lot of people are going to learn more about this and expand more on this topic. It's all about culture and arts and wellness over here, but it is Nizewhat. So we're going to talk. Everyone's saying Nize it. No, we need to talk. So thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for informing us. Shout out to Camille Clarke. I'll leave your handle here as well as any other information. And you can follow Nizewhat, of course, on Instagram. Check out Durrell the Galaxy. Here's my handle. And if you ever want to book an interview, no matter what it is, Nizewhat, just book the interview at nizewhat@gmail.com. And we will see you in the next episode, or I'll see you in the next episode. Peace.